Thanks for opening the Taylor's version skill. I'm so thrilled about re-releasing Fearless and sharing more insight into the process of making it and highlighting some of the memorable stories about this album. Fearless was that was the type of song that as soon as I wrote this song, I knew it would be the title track for the album. You know, it was about sort of fearlessly falling in love and not caring if you're going to get hurt, but it kind of encapsulated, you know, the way I was sort of moving through life at that point. I was just sort of hurling myself into these situations and making this album in a way that hoped for the best and disregarded what could happen if it all went terribly wrong. And went out into the world and I got to see, you know, teenage girls and young kids and moms and dads and grandparents like holding signs that said fearless. And it was just the kind of purest, joyful message for everyone, I think, for us all to feel like we could try to live our lives fearlessly. And, you could take that and it could mean what it meant to you specifically. This song, however, I wanted to write a song about the best possible first date ever. And so that's what we did. The song 15 is a song that I wrote on my own. And I wrote it about the journey that my best friend Abigail, who, you know, we're still tight. We met in freshman year of high school and we both had these, you know, trials and tribulations and lessons and adventures and mishaps and heartbreaks and glorious excitements and letdowns. And so I wanted to tell the story of, you know, being 15 kind of through the lens of a friendship and you see what these two people go through, you know, together as friends and on their own. Yeah, it still gets me, this song, because, those were all real insecurities of like walking in your freshman year and thinking like, where am I going to fit in this massive ocean of people? Like, where's my locker? Like, how do I fit in here? Like, who am I going to be? You know, that's a question that we ask ourselves a lot through the course of life, but I think never more than when we're 15. Love Story is a song that I wrote when I was 17, and I think it involved some teenage angst. I think I was mad at my parents for not letting me go on a date or something, and it also is a good example of what a hopeless romantic I was and still am. I really loved the story of Romeo and Juliet, except for the ending, because that was just like too devastating for me to process. So I changed the ending in the song, and I've just ever since been so honored by the fact that people have celebrated this song so much. I feel really lucky that people responded to it the way that they did and continue to. The song White Horse was a song I wrote with Liz Rose, and it was just about comparing the fairy tale imagery we are taught as kids, comparing it to what can really happen in, you know, young love and young heartbreak, and how you just expect a happily ever after type thing, and then you don't find it, and you're faced with this reality of, oh, this isn't Hollywood, this is a small town, you know, those kind of realizations that hit you. But I've always been so proud of this one, and every time I sing it still, I get so, like, emotional, because it's really that emotion that's just on the surface. Every time I hear this song, it's like, you know, it's too late for you and your white horse to catch me now. It's like that coming of age where you realize you're stronger than wanting that happily ever after. You want something better for yourself. You want something different, something more independent, something freer than even what you were told about in fairy tales. You Belong With Me is a song that just absolutely changed my life. You know, it was one of those songs that, you know, I had written about unrequited love and crushes at school. And I never would have imagined how many people I would see in a crowd one day screaming, she wears short skirts, I wear t-shirts, or that there would be think pieces about it, or that it would be like this thing that launched me and my career into this place that I never imagined it would go to. It was this song and Love Story that really, really changed my life in a huge way. And I've had so much fun with the fans singing this into crowds over the years. So getting to redo it was really a joyful experience, because I kind of was looking back on all of those memories and thinking, wow, I'm really lucky. The song Breathe is a song about having to let go of someone in your life who you care about and you don't want to hurt, but you've outgrown the friendship or the relationship. And I wrote the idea for it, and Colby Calais was in town, who's just one of my favorite artists. I absolutely love her music and I love her voice. And she was in town playing a show, and I brought her this idea and she really liked it, and we wrote it together. We sat there and wrote the song right before her show. I mean, it was the afternoon she was about to play that night, and she sang backup vocals on it that are just so haunting. And I'm so lucky because she agreed to do the same backup vocals on my version of Breathe. So it absolutely would not have been the same without her. So I'm really, really grateful that she decided to return to the project. The song You All Over Me is one that I wrote with a writer who goes by the name Scooter Caruso. His name is Travis Hill. This was one of the songs that I remember us painstakingly going over the lyrics and trying to come up with all these different symbolic imagery references to how it could feel after you have your heart broken, just to feel like you've been ruined by the whole thing. And I think that's one of the hardest things about heartbreak, is feeling like it's damaged you and now you carry that damage with you. So I was really proud of the song back then. I'm still proud of it now. And I think it actually makes more sense to have a 31-year-old person be singing it. So all's well that ends well. And I was really excited because Maren Morris was gracious enough to sing backup vocals on it, and she's one of my favorite artists. So here it is. Mr. Perfectly Fine is a song that I wrote alone. It was definitely an early indicator of me sort of creeping towards a pop sensibility. You know, I've always listened to every type of music, and even though Fearless is a country album, there were always these pop melodies creeping in. But I really love this song, and I love the bridge. I think the lyrics are just wonderfully scathing and full of the teen angst that you would hope to hear on an album that I wrote when I was 17 or 18 or, you know, on that cusp. That's When is a song that I wrote with the Warren brothers, and it was really fun writing with them because they're just hilarious people in general. And I remember, you know, it was a classic Nashville songwriting session. You sit around a room, you know, you go to a publishing office, you sit around in a room, everybody's got guitars, and we just kind of came up with this song about space and independence and what happens when two people love each other, but one of them just needs to take a breather and think about it. And what would happen if, rather than saying no, if you're not sure, then leave and I don't want to talk to you ever again, what would happen if the partner was like, do what you need to do. Like, I'm here and I'm sure that I want to be with you. So if you need to take some space, then do it. And we were just kind of playing around with that idea, and we came up with this song. And to my delight, Keith Urban agreed to do it as a duet with me. So that's pretty exciting because Keith is a huge part of the Fearless era in my mind, because he was one of the artists that I was an opening act for during this album cycle. So having him on the album is really, really special. Don't You is a song that I wrote with Tommy Lee James, who's a fantastic writer. And we wrote it about the idea of seeing someone that you used to have a thing for and seeing them out in public for the first time after you've heard that they've moved on and that, you know, your life is kind of in shambles and they have moved on and they're really happy. And it's almost like even them being nice to you hurts you because you're like in such a state of pain and you haven't moved on yet. So that was a really fun song to write because that's just a wellspring of emotion to draw from. And Jack Antonoff produced it, and I think he did a really, really beautiful job of kind of highlighting sort of the melody and letting it just be really airy and sort of like a dreamscape. Bye Bye Baby is a song that I wrote with Liz Rose. And it was just one of those ones that it would always get stuck in my head. Just the idea that you're facing disappointment when it comes to somebody that you really cared about, and kind of that grand letdown that happens when you're growing up and you're learning to trust people and trying to learn about love and everything, and kind of realizing that you have to let go. I really love how it came out. Jack did a great job with this production, and I'm excited about ending the album with this because it's kind of like a sign off, like a goodbye to the Fearless era.